the books. What are you looking forward to now that the regular season's upon us?
Honestly, I mean, just getting like really serious about stuff. You know, just regular season coming up, just getting in the gym, working, and just trying to get better. Honestly.
Troy, what was it like, being out there with Devin and all the young guys? Like you kind of got a pretty extended period to kind of show everything.
I mean, it was fun, honestly. I mean, I felt like we enjoyed it. We were all out there, you know, just playing basketball, playing together, and I feel like everybody was having fun and just enjoying the moment. So.
Why were you doing that?
Pretty much it was like just rookie hazing, you know, just pretty much. That's really what it is. So, yeah.
So you guys just played a team from China. You know, the NBA is trying to become more of a global game. How do you think games like this help grow the appeal of basketball outside the United States?
For me, I mean, it's just great to have it all come to the United States and just see it coming together. You know, Rocky, the kid, actually played on our summer league team, and to see him on that team and, you know, him happy and then being able for him to come to the United States, I think it's a really big opportunity for everybody just to help basketball globally. So yeah.
What do you think of Devin Robinson's ability to get up there and go down?
Oh, we all know Devin can jump. You know, we saw summer league. You know, and today we really got to see it. So, you know, so yeah, it's amazing. It's actually some of the craziest stuff I've ever seen in my life, to be honest with you. So yeah.
Can you walk us through that lob that you threw to Devin? Like it seemed like it was kind of high, but you still got.
Okay, why does everybody keep on saying I threw that lob? I didn't throw that. That was me. That was not me. I swear it was.
What did you think of the lob?
I was behind it. It was crazy. It was at like the top of the square. It was ridiculous. Like his head was at the rim. Like I promise you. Like if y'all have a video of that, y'all should really go watch that in slow motion. It's ridiculous. Yeah. For real.
Good evening. Welcome everybody to another episode of the Focus TV. As always, since the last time we saw you, so much is happening in sports. If you guys don't follow us on social media, you should. You should do that like right now before we get started. All right, so we're gonna get to Octavia's MCE segment. That should be fun since you know your team won, right?
They did.
So that's gonna be something we have to hear.
No. Well, yes, because it's a part of the segment, but.
So it's not gonna be gloom and doom like last week.
You mean the week before?
The week before. The week before. Last week we had a riveting debate going on. We're also going to check in with DC United. They've been on a tear. We've been telling you guys each and every week what things could look like since July 10th. That's when the Rooney era kind of began. They're on an unbeaten streak, and as of right now, I'll tell you about it a little bit later. We're going to talk about the Wizards too, because tonight is officially the start of the 2018-2019 NBA season. So, Cardell, you ready? Ready, man?
It came so fast.
And look, you say that, but like, there's 2 games this week, and I'm hurt. There's two DC United games this week. There's 2 Wizards games this week. So like, it did come up fast, but at the same time, like
I feel like there was no off season.
I feel like there definitely wasn't off season at all. And then not to mention, you know, G League starts. You know, that's cool. We're on the clock for that too. So the Capital City Go-Go. That's going to be happening. But tonight, we have some special guests. We got the Towe family, founders of CTAB Hoops, cross-training athletes into believers. We have both Daryl and Lee Towe here tonight, so welcome.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thank
you for having us.
Thank y'all for coming through, man. They've been friends of the program for a while. So I think the last time we had you back at a different location, all this stuff. I think it was almost, it might have been pre-Focus days.
Right.
So technically, you know, it's your official time, your first time on Focus.
Yes.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yes.
Welcome. All right, so first off, congratulations. Last night, you guys won an award, the Champions of Character Award from Fairfax County.
Absolutely.
So big ups for that.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Thank you guys. You guys take your time, get back to the youth, and it's cool that other people appreciate it and commend you for it. So since the last time we talked, CT's a little bit older. You guys continue to impact young athletes with CTAB, and you're both now coaching on high school level. So Lee, year 2, Lee High School. How's that transition been? And were you actively looking to coach outside of like CTAB?
No. You know, with having a son, being a mom is kind of a first priority outside of being an entrepreneur. But literally, the lead job literally fell in my lap. I had a good friend who had a plug and knew that they were looking and threw my name out there. And ironically, we had already had a speaking engagement set up for that school particularly. So I kind of just had a random interview in a sense, and the AD at the time loved it, and she told the principal, and she texted me, and they're like, "We need you here."
And all our AAU colors was the same color as Lee High School.
That's true.
So that's
Even
kind of
better. Already got apparel and then on top of that, the Lee. You know, everybody kept saying Coach Lee at Lee. I mean, it was fate. Right, exactly. But I've been familiar with Lee High School forever, growing up in the Fairfax County area. They've been a struggling school, to say, in their athletics. So my focus wasn't to try to come in and become the most winningest coach. My focus was just to try to get people to buy back into the basketball program first, and then to change the hearts and the mindsets of all these youth and the kids that we have and build it from there. Now, would I love to win? Yes. But I know it's going to be a process, so I'm taking it in stride.
All right. You brought it up talking about that process. Obviously, with CTAB, it's a little bit different where you already have your hands on the kids.
Right.
They already know what CTAB means, what you're about, what that culture, that program means. How has it been trying to implement, like, literally a similar culture?
The difference is, for one, I don't get to choose my kids in high school. I literally get kids that are coming from the one feeder school that we have into my high school. So it's, for one, just getting interest in the sport, and then getting to know, the way that we connect with other kids is getting to know these kids and exactly where their mindset's at. Once we know where the mindset is at, then it makes it easier for us to feel like, okay, this is the angle that we can meet them at when it comes to the sport and the game. Unlike CTAB, we pretty much can choose whatever people, players, whatever we want, and we can work them the way we need to. So it's kind of a difference. We try to implement the same process in the high school realm, but it's a little bit different, a little bit more touchy in high school.
All right, with the CTAB AAU program, how much have you been leaned on, like, your experience there over here with Lee?
A lot. It goes hand in hand. Just like I said, the relating to the kids part, learning. Well, for me, to be honest with you, it was more of a humbling experience. Coming from AAU, coming from really elite players, working and being able to do most things that I want to do, going to a school that's developmental. So for me, it was teaching myself how to be humbled, and I realized that I can't just use the same tactics I used over here. Again, I've got to learn how to meet these kids where they're at and be a little bit more soft-hearted and understanding on how to get them to the point where I want them to be.
All right, Daryl, similar what I just asked Lee.
Okay.
What's it been like, going into that role at Woodson, where, development's a big part with CTAB, but, it's a little bit of a different environment now?
Right. It's been pretty cool, man. The coach and I have the same kind of philosophy, so that kind of made the transition easy. And also, they're used to winning. I think the year before last, they won a state championship. And, from my background, I'm used to winning, so it was kind of like, okay, I can, as long as the kids working hard, the coach had the best interest at heart for the kids, man, and got a great philosophy, and the same culture, man. It's been pretty cool.
All right, so I remember coming to the We Over Me Summer Bump Classic. Again, thank y'all so much for the invite.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely enjoyed myself. We talk all the time here about defense being something that's just, it's a foreign concept these days. Right. And I think I told you early that morning, not a morning person. First thing that stood out of my mind was your team's strapped.
Right.
How did you get, on both the boys and the girls, how did you get them to that place where, again, today is something where people don't necessarily take pride in?
Yeah, I think it's the old school mentality, flat out. If you don't play defense, you're not playing for us. So either your parents can be mad, you can be mad, either you're going to sit the bench or you're not going to play for us, flat out. And I think that's, how the kids want to work harder and understand we're not playing no games when it comes to that, because at the end of the day, offense is cool, but, the cliche, defense win championships, and that's truly true, you know what I mean?
All right, so both of you, of all the athletes you guys had in CTAB, obviously, it's basketball, but not all of them are solely purely all about basketball. What's the challenge like when, you have some like football players, dabbling in basketball at times, but you're still helping them as athletes as a whole and people as a whole?
Overall, you're cross-training. That's where the cross-training comes into play. So, yeah, we might be a focus on basketball, but we're cross-training these athletes to be successful people, period. Which at this day and age, these kids are so, like we talked about before, entitled and bratty and don't work hard and trying to teach them. But then everybody wants to go to college and get the D1 scholarship. So when they get to us, it's a reality check. Like, this is what you want. Okay, we're going to get you exactly to this point, but we're going to treat you what it's going to be like at that next level. So no matter if you're into football or if you're into basketball, those same disciplinary skills, it goes across the board. So it really hasn't been an issue when we have the football players or the track. Like we have a girl who just got 2 offers for track that played straight basketball. She was a killer too, but her focus ended up being basketball. So track. So just being there for her and being a inspiration, a mentor to her life or whatever she needs. That's what we tailor ourselves to. So it's not always just like we said, the sport of basketball. It could just be they just need a listening ear, or they need guidance on how to go through the NCAA process, or they need help getting from point A to point B. We just camouflage and just do what we got to do.
Yeah, it's crazy. We had talked to 3 kids today that played football, and pretty much said you guys prepared us. The CTAB program prepared us for the next level, and they were so grateful for it. So to even hear that was like, wow, our program, it works, and that's the culture at the end of the day that we want to set. Even kids that's they ain't make no teams or didn't go to college, they still reaching back out to the CTAB program or even coming over the house for holidays or just being around. So that's what it's about at the end of the day.
All right, Cardell, Octavia.
I got a question for both of y'all. As y'all know, there's a lot of AAU programs in the area. What sets y'all program apart from the others?
I think truly the family environment, and being firm but fair. Having that balance, I think, is key, and I think some coaches really have it, and then some coaches really don't have it, and that's the truth. In the pudding, as we talk to parents and just, as the culture, everybody talks and everybody's having the same discussions and same conversations, but I truly feel being firm but fair, and also being able to develop the kids basketball-wise, but also to be able to coach the X and O's, at the same time. Okay.
I think also it's being transparent. I think a lot of these AAU programs, from word of mouth, what we've heard, what we've seen, don't, financially expose what kids, it just give you a whole bunch of hoopla, we can do this, we can do that, and pay $1,800 for a season, and it's like, what is my kid really getting out of this? And then, like he said before, the family environment, we have a strong focus on our kids, but we also have learned that this is more than just an organization. We're a ministry, so you figure out that there's also parents, siblings that also need the attention, the assistance, the help. So cultivating that family environment, that's the only reason why, or part of the reason why CTAB is standing as is, because it's literally family, you know what I mean? So that's just what we strongly believe in, and again, it's a missing element in today's day and age, just cultivating that strong family culture. So I think that's what separates us from a lot of organizations.
And you said firm but fair.
Yeah.
Why do you feel like that dynamic is missing between the coaches and parents these days? Because when I was coming up, your parents dropped you off and you was pretty much with the coach,
right,
and you couldn't come home and complain. Some other coach made me run or play defense.
Yeah.
They be like, so
right,
you keep complaining, you're gonna get something else for that.
Yeah.
Why is that missing today? But then in reality, we all know when they get to college, that's right, exactly what they're going to face.
Yeah, I think it's the truth, and the trust factor between the coach and the parents. Like they have to be able to trust you with their kid and to have that harsh conversation with them and with the parent. Sometimes we'll sit with a parent and really, we know you're not gonna like this, but this is what it is. We got your kids' interests at heart, and you know, we're going to be firm, but sometimes we're going to laugh and joke. We're going to be relatable. We're going to talk about, you know, maybe their girlfriends or their boyfriends or how they're dealing with some of the things during the school. But at the same time, you're not doing what you're supposed to, and then we got to be on you. Old school mentality.
I think it's also unrealistic expectations. I think there's a lot of families out here that swear their kid is the next Jordan, the next Sky, all these people, and it's just like the work ethic behind that. I mean, you see so many kids jumping from teams, so many kids leaving this, going here, from there, and when you look at it for us, you know, again, going back to a ministry standpoint, you look at the root. It's not just these kids, they're learning it directly from the parents. You know what I mean? Like, so if your parents already don't have the realistic expectation, and what you'll find when you really have these conversations, parents really don't understand what's going on nowadays. You don't understand the NCAA process. You don't understand what college coaches are looking for. And it's more than just talent nowadays, it's literally character. And if your talent can get you to that next level, but your character has to be able to keep you there. You know, so I think that's the biggest thing when it comes to the firm but fair part, and it's a lesson that I've learned just within the past year. I'm a coach that wears a heart on their sleeve in a sense. I connect very easily. I'm very, very, very open, and I try my best to do as much for everybody, but you learn when you're too nice, you can get burned. You know what I'm saying? It'll bite you in your tail, and even when you mean well, it can bite you in your tail. So it goes back to him, what he says being firm, is learning that guidelines. Because I remember when my parents wasn't sitting in the gym. My parents wasn't putting their 2 cents in every 5 minutes about something. They dropped me off, and that was it. And if I came back to the crib and I even had the audacity to complain about something, my father or my mother would check me like, well, what are you doing wrong? And that's the thing that I think that's the missing question. It's not, what are you doing wrong, asking the child. It's, oh, well, we need to go have a sitting conversation with these coaches and all this kind of stuff. You know, at some point, you got to hold yourself and your child accountable first. Then we can see, and if you really understand this game and understand the magnitude of what's expected when it gets to those next levels, then you'll understand how to navigate that whole process. But if you just go off of, oh, my kid's great and they should be, and this, that, and the third, then that's when you run into some problems. And unfortunately, when you get to that next level, that's when your feelings are really going to get hurt, if you get it to that next level. So.
You brought up ministry. Obviously, a big part of what y'all doing is, just beliefs, spiritual beliefs, religion, whatnot. In a society that when you look around, it seems like it's getting more and more away from that. How difficult is it to maintain what y'all trying to do? Seeing that, within y'all program.
I think it's easy now. Like we mentioned before, like when we first got started, it was rough because we were still new. We were trying to figure out how we can't compromise our faith, but at the same time, we don't want to rub nobody the wrong way. But now as we get to, know people and people get to know us, we walking by example, we leading by example, so it make it easier for people to be curious, and then we can have that conversation on our beliefs. And now we ain't going, they coming to church with us. We got some of the kids and even the parents coming. We might be in there 20 deep in church having service, and then we may go out to eat and everything. So now, it's just who we are, and and we leaning on God to supply the rest.
And I think that it's also just teaching people just a faith, just to find some type of faith to stand on, whatever. Because when you look at our program, you look at the kids that are in our program, we have kids from all different backgrounds, from Muslim to Jewish and everything. But we pray before our games. We pray before, when we get in the kids ride with us, we get in a car, we pray and practices and stuff like that. But nobody ever tests it. Everybody falls right into line, and they're willing to do it. I mean, so much so to my girls, when we have games, they were like, "Cause we got to pray first." And I might have totally forgot to even think about it, but they'll hold me accountable because it's such, part of their nature and everything. So I think it's just, like we always say, give it up to God, and you just see it manifest on its own. So it's nothing that we force. It's literally something that people just pick up.
Yeah. And one of the things too, we talk about facing adversity. Like, really don't know how to face adversity. When you go through something, sometimes it can be something small as a game or whatever, missing a couple of shots, going 0 for 5, and their head down, they think the game is over with, or the world is over with. So we got to keep that faith in perspective to let them know how to face adversity when things get tight, So.
And last question for you, what are some improvements you feel could be made to girls' grassroots basketball? Because even with social media, it's the boys, and it's still like years ahead as far as exposure than the girls. So what are some improvements you feel could be made?
I think it's tough. I think we're in an era where a lot of girls are moving away from contact type sports. Basketball is a tough contact sport, so now you're moving into volleyball, which is probably one of the top sports for basketball or for girls right now. So to get them back into it, it's hard to say what will cultivate the whole girls basketball game. I talk about it all the time, just going around Fairfax County and watching all the games. It's completely different from back when I played in the same exact county, same exact environment, and it was more girls who wanted to play. There was more girls who really focused on the game. I've actually had a conversation with a college coach about that. Like, what is it that once the girls get to college, like, why is there so many more people? Like, I remember when I played, before I got hurt, I wanted to go to the NBA. That was like WNBA, aspiration of going to WNBA. But he said to me that it seems like most girls at this day and age, everybody's playing just to at least get the school scholarship. They go play to get school paid for, and then for most part, everybody's done. They might go different avenues with life, but for the most part, he said over his time being a college coach, that's what he's noticing. And so it just might be, it's a thing to do to get me into school, and that's it. So I don't really know. It's a really good question.
Hate to cut you off, but too, I think we can go back to where she said she wear her heart on her sleeve, right? So we have debates and conversations on, she always say, like, all the fellas, all the coaches pull together. The men's coaches pull together, and they always doing events together, and they always calling and hit each other up on different schemes or whatever it is. It's more of, togetherness, whether, she has some tough personal experiences, at least 3 to 4, 5, maybe even 6 different times where, she maybe reached out to somebody and, had some great ideas that can benefit everybody, but it kind of been a struggle. So, there could be one area in the girls' department where, pulling everybody together.
I think female side, from what I've experienced, is people are territorial. Whereas, like I said, you guys are saying, like, boys basketball is light years ahead, but, like, even when you just watch Twitter, it's amazing how you just see this male coach is doing something, and the male support that's behind it within the basketball world or the football world or everything. But when you look at the female side, just in our area alone, like, how many times have you seen a female coach do something and you get the support? You know what I mean? And they're all supporting. So I think it's a lot of stuff involved, and there's a lot of stuff that through experience and just sitting and watching that we've noticed. But I mean, I would love for girls basketball to get back to where it used to be, especially if we end up having a daughter or something.
Yes.
I don't know what we're going to do, the whole cheerleading thing.
You're playing with a Barbie doll.
But it's definitely been a question I ask all the time. Like, I wonder why it's not as competitive and as strong as the male side. So I don't know, something else. If you find out, let me know.
It's funny because what Cardell says, like, I've thought that for a long time as well, like seeing the dynamic of when you used to play, like, early 2000s, 2005, you had a lot of, like, support, at least in my area. I was in PG County when I played. So, like he said, like, it's hard to kind of garner that, like, do you see a difference between, like, working with high school kids as opposed to when you, like you said, you get to pick your own kids? Like, has there been any struggle so far, or is there anything that,
I think high school wise is probably easier because you get what you get. And at my high school in particular, it's just most of the parents do drop their kids off and they show up. It's because we're so under the radar type school. On the AAU side, it was a little bit more tough. Even though I picked my kids, I had really close relationships that maybe shouldn't have been so close and stuff like that. So it kind of opened me up to be more than just a coach. It could hurt sometimes. It could be beneficial, but it could hurt at times. So for me, it wasn't. I really don't see too much of a difference. I try to just be the same through and through. It might be different on the boys' side, though.
Yeah, pretty much. Right.
Well, he can't say that because he's happy because Woodson wins every day.
I can't relate.
That's funny. Yeah, but I guess my only other question would be, as far as with you guys going into new seasons coming up now, like, what are your expectations going into the seasons?
Yeah, I just want the kids to get better. Not focus on the wins and losses, just focus on getting better every day mentally, and then, working on their body. And one thing I think is a lost art that we preach to our kids in our program is just the whole aspect of weightlifting. You go into a gym, you might see a kid that's 6'5", 6'6", and he got 2 10s on the side of a bench press. And I'm looking like, what in the world? What have you been doing for the last 3 years? Like, it's really baffling to see that. But, I just want to give kids every aspect of the game, which will make them better, whether it's mentally, whether it's physically. And once they start doing it and getting all these different habits in them, they like, oh, wow, I've seen improvement just like that. So by them improving, and just asking questions, hitting us up on the text, Coach, how can I get better? Or what do you think about this move and stuff like that? That's, they moving the culture forward with basketball instead of just, going about their day.
I'm actually optimistic too about our season. The girls, after getting last year underneath my belt and understanding exactly what I was dealing with, like I said, it was a humbling experience for me, but at the end of the season, just seeing the love that the girls had because I stuck there and pushed them and continued to lift them up the entire season. It was amazing. But now this year, they even, I've had a couple of them going to fall league games and stuff so they can watch to see what the competition looks like. And they've come back and they're excited, I think we can actually do something this year, which is an awesome feeling. And it's half the battle at a school like mine. So with that mentality, if they can keep that in going into the season and through our, scrimmages and our first set of games, I think we might have I'm hopeful for a very positive season this year.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
All right, before we end this, got a 2-part question. See y'all at a ton of games that we're at every so often. How important is it for you guys, as you're at these games, to continue learning so you can keep on imparting wisdom to the youngsters? And secondly, just what's next for CTAB?
Yeah, you want to do the first question?
The first part?
Well, yeah, so it's important, man, to keep working on your craft. If you think you got it all figured out and you stop learning, that's when your career is over. Always on YouTube or, going to the Wizards game and just locking in and seeing what the coaches are doing. Or even like now, the training piece, or we get in the room with a Coach Cal and stuff like that, or these NBA players talking about training and stuff. We need to know the technology. I mean, not the technology, but the terminology. You can't walk in the room, you're not speaking the same language. I wouldn't know that if I wanted to be doing my research or just continue to learn. I would just be like, okay, this is, go and set a screen or down screen instead of saying, hey, you go and set a pin down and stuff like that. So you come back and you teach it to the kids, they already ahead of the curve and things like that. So always studying the game, always getting better and learning from, people that have done it at a high level.
Mm-hmm. And then also for us showing that connection to the kids. So the kids will always test you. You can tell them anything, but then they like to see stuff live. So when we go to these games and stuff, and we see a move, or even one of our plays that we run, we went to the Japan versus USA women's game, and they literally ran a play. Japan ran a play that we've been running all summer, and it was amazing to see. So we was like, oh yeah, we right on target and all that stuff. But to see it live and to see it at that level, and then being able to show the kids and be like, listen, look, what we're showing you is real, and you see it all the way through to the highest level ever. I think is really important too, because a lot of times, just like we learn, a lot of people are seers other than just listeners. So you just got to be able to show them as well. So that's another reason why it's important for us to go to these games and clinics and sit down with the Coach Cows and all them like that.
And next for CTAB real quick is so working on our gym space. We can get all the clients we want, and they coming in and we getting kids, but at the end of the day, we got to find somewhere to house them. So we're shooting for May 19. We found a location that we're working on behind the scenes, and now it's just about loading up our fundraiser and putting it out there. So behind the scenes, we're working on the fundraiser stuff to blast it out, and our goal is to get 120,000 for everything we need to get it launched. So May 19.
Hey man, we wish y'all the best on that, and please continue to keep doing what you're doing with the youth. And thank y'all so much for coming in. We're not leaving yet. We got a lot of show left. This is a great conversation with the founders of CTAB. The Towe family. We're going to take a quick break. When we get back, Octavia's NFC East segment. You're watching the Focus TV. Welcome back to the Focus TV. Welcome back to the Focus TV. Octavia.
Hello.
Yeah, your team won this week. What you got for us?
Oh, really? That's what I get this week?
Yes.
Trey, you turned your mic off this week too.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to start with the Thursday night game. We had the Giants versus the Eagles, so two teams within the NFC East this week. Eagles won kind of handily. I believe it was 30-13. For the Giants, who are now 1-5 and 0-2 in the division, Eli Manning had 24-43 for passes, 281 yards, 1 interception. Saquon Barkley, 13 carries, 130 yards, 9 receptions, 99 yards. And Odell Beckham, 6 receptions, 44 yards. And on the Eagles side, we had Carson Wentz for 26 of 36, 278 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 carries, 14 yards as well. Wendell Smallwood, 18 carries for 51 yards. Corey Clement, 11 carries for 43 yards and 1 touchdown. Nelson Aguilar, 3 receptions, 91 yards. Alshon Jeffrey, 8 receptions, 74 yards, 2 touchdowns. Zach Ertz, 7 receptions, 43 yards, 1 touchdown. So that was a lot. But before I can even really get into everything that happened in the game, I just have to say how amazing Saquon Barkley is. And that's me being an Eagles fan watching the game. He is amazing. For him to be a rookie, for him to come into this season playing as well as he's playing, he was on the verge of being the very first player ever for the New York Giants to have 100 yards rushing and 100 yards receiving in the same game. It was 1 yard off with 99 receiving yards. But I mean, even watching some of the plays, you can't tackle him. I will also say our tackling is not that great, so I'm going to throw that out there. But you can't tackle him. He was running people over and jump cutting. A lot of people have compared him to Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders was one of his favorite players growing up. And you can see the similarities. You can't, how everybody jumps to conclusions and automatically say, oh, yeah, he's Barry Sanders. Can't get there yet. He's only 6 games deep. But you can see the comparisons. And he, unfortunately for the Giants, was the only bright spot for them for the entire game. Started the game off with them really shaky. Eli threw a pick very first series, opening series of the game. And it just kind of got worse from there. The fact that Saquon Barkley accounted for all but 17 of the rushing yards. Yeah, and Gallman had 17 yards. But, Saquon was doing everything. He was doing everything he could do. He had more receptions than Odell Beckham. Even when you look at it, everybody knows Odell Beckham can get really... Odell Beckham. There we go. Emotional, but Odell Beckham, they kind of go hand in hand at this point. When they showed the whole clip where he was banging his head against the air conditioner, who was the person that calmed him down? The rookie. The rookie was the one that had to go over to the now vet to calm him down in the middle of a game. So, that to me automatically speaks to the type of character, type of player that he is, that he has that mindset I got to go get this guy to calm down, what's going on? But, we talked the week before, they released Eric Flowers from the offensive line, so they're trying some new things. It's still not clicking for them at all. Eli had the Eli face the whole game. It was a little rough for them. Their next game is going to be Monday night, primetime against the Falcons. I don't think it's going to get any better for them anytime soon, but hopefully, I know they're waiting to get to their bye game, so hopefully they can regroup and see what happens going forward for the rest of the season for them. But at this point, it's not looking too good. They might as well already get ready for the lottery. And on the other side of the Eagles, finally, to me, got on the right track. Also, offensive line looked a lot better. They still have a lot of work to do, although they only allowed Carson to get sacked one time. He was rushed a lot. He was hit a lot. He was, it was still a lot of hits on him, especially coming up off the knee injury. But positive signs showing that he is still progressing with his knee injury. You can see he's still mobile. He's still able to run. He's still able to extend plays. He extended a great play to Nelson Aguilar, who actually had to come back to get the ball, which was one of the greatest catches in the game. But, with Alshon Jeffrey coming back, 2 touchdowns, and especially with Jay Ajayi being out for the season, Darren Sproles been out all year. It's kind of running back by committee at this point with Wendell Smallwood and Corey Clement. And Corey Clement was also on the pitch count as well. Me personally, I'm not the biggest Wendell Smallwood fan, but he got it done for what needed to be done this game. Ertz still being Ertz, getting the touchdowns, and the defense actually held it down as well. They only allowed 1 touchdown. They, kept them out of the end zone on the red zones. The only touchdown that they did get was a big run from Saquon Barkley. So they're getting it together. Darby was all over Odell Beckham, which is probably why he hit his head against the air conditioner. But, it was a good game. Their next game is going to be against the Panthers, who are coming off of a loss to the Redskins as well. So that should be a good game next week as well. Next game, I'm going to go into the Cowboys, who are now 3-3 in the 3-3 record, 1-0 in the division. They played the Jaguars this week and whooped up on the Jaguars. That's all I can say. 40-7. Dak Prescott 17 to 27 throwing, 183 yards, 2 touchdowns, 11 carries for 82 yards. Elliott 24 carries, 106 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 receiving. 1 reception and 11 yards. Cole Beasley 9 receptions, 101 yards, and 2 touchdowns. The Cowboys came out there and actually got the once talkative Jalen Ramsey speechless, because everybody knows Jalen Ramsey's been talking all year about who's good, who's not good, who he gonna sack, who he gonna do what. He ain't do anything in this game. 40-7 was a big statement win to me for the Cowboys, coming off of some of the games they've had this year, especially going against one of the top defenses. If not, some people will already say they are the top defense in the league. And they couldn't do anything with them at all. I think that now they're starting to realize how much more they need to get Elliott involved. You see each week his touches are getting more and more, and the actual outcome is getting better for them. And also, I even said previous weeks that a lot of teams may not have been as scared of Dak running as they were in the past because they haven't seen it as much. But Dak is getting back into the swing of things as well. Like I said, 11 carries, 82 yards. They actually have personnel and plays put together for him to run. And, they were just clicking on all cylinders. It was like, just go. They really knew they needed to win that game, and they didn't play around at all. Their kicker, who has now hit his last 15 kicks after missing his very first one, and, of course, the controversy with releasing Dan Bailey over the summer. So they're on a, they're good right now. They're doing well. I believe they're second in the NFC East as of now, or tied for second between us and them. And then, they play the Redskins next week, 4 o'clock. Dama with the clearing the throat. Next week. And finally, the Redskins, who are now 3-2, 0-0 in the division. They haven't played a division game yet. They played the Panthers this week, 123-13. Alex Smith, 21 of 36, 163 yards, 2 touchdowns. Adrian Peterson, 17 carries, 97 yards. Vernon Davis, 3 receptions, 48 yards, 1 touchdown. And Paul Richardson, 3 receptions, 31 yards, and his first touchdown of the season. I think that Josh Norman may have heard all of the chatter that a lot of people were starting to say that he was not the best defensive back on the team anymore. A lot of people were looking at DJ Swearinger and even Quentin Dunbar. And he came, with a chip on his shoulder this week. He was responsible for 2 takeaways. He had an interception on Cam. He also punched the ball away from the rookie DJ Moore, especially with on the offensive side with Chris Thompson and Jamison Crowder, not playing this week. They had to rely heavily on their vets with Vernon Davis coming in with a touchdown from his old quarterback from his 49er days, Alex Smith. I think that this was a good win for them as well. It's showing that, like I said last week or the week before, the NFC East, those 3 teams to me are still really, really neck and neck. I think the next couple of games are going to start pulling them apart to see who's going to be first, second, and third between the 3. I already kind of left the Giants out, but yeah. Adrian Peterson still continues to show that he still has some juice left in the tank. You see his jump cuts, he's running really hard, and he only got stronger as the game progressed. And, like I said, they play the Cowboys next week. That's the biggest rivalry in the NFC East, probably a lot of people consider in the NFL period. So it should be a good game. It'll be here, 4 o'clock, I believe, FedEx Field. See if the Redskins fans turn up this week to the game, because, sometimes they don't be showing up to the games no more. But I'm sure they'll be at that one. So we'll see what happens this week coming up. Everybody has good games coming up.
Really petty way to end the segment. We're going to take a quick break before we get back. We're going to jump into a new segment we got this week with Cardell. We're going to get to the Wizards segment. We got a little special something at the end of the show, just highlight a few special folks. All right, this week on the 9-4-50 breakdown, one of my favorite moves to see, some of my favorite players murder this move, and it's fun to watch. A lot of people get lost. Love to see it at different speeds. This week, Jamal Hayward's breakdown of an in-and-out dribble. Again, Jamal Hayward for 9-4-50 is breaking down an in-and-out dribble. See you guys on the other side of the break.
Now, here, you gotta sell it. Look away, okay? Same thing with the left hand. My whole upper body, when I have it in my left hand, is shifting to the right. Same thing now, if it's in my right hand, I shift to my left. So now when I drag here, drag. Okay? So here, clean, here, okay? Before I even move, in and out. Here, you gotta sell it. Look away, okay? Same thing with the left hand. My whole upper body, when I have it in my left hand, is shifting to the right. Same thing now, if it's in my right hand, I shift to my left. So now when I drag here, drag. Okay? So here, clean, here, okay?
Welcome back to the Focus TV. Octavia, thank you so much. Got to get your segment out the way this week. No arguments, you know.
Yeah, I was the fly on the wall last week, you know.
I was sitting. I didn't want anything to come my way.
Nah, you was in it.
No, just a little bit.
Thank you.
So now y'all agree?
A lot. You was in there.
This is where we're at this week.
Sometimes
it was like a
you gotta
tennis
check
match.
people sometimes. Be that way.
Fact checking is important.
It's
Discussion. It was a little bit blasphemous, but we got a new segment this week. So Cardell, the floor is yours.
Yeah, we introducing our boxing segment. You know, something we've been talking about for a while. A lot of great fights that happened throughout the year, and you know, growing up, boxing was my second sport, so I pay attention to it almost as much as I pay attention to basketball. So I'm trying to highlight a lot of boxing that's going on, especially, you know, with a lot of great fighters starting to emerge. Maybe not so much in the heavyweight, but the lower division, welterweight, light heavyweight, and, you know, middleweight, stuff like that. People need to be in tune, and this weekend was a great start. You know, one fight who Terrence Crawford, you know, might be pound for pound the best fighter on the planet right now. He knocked out Jose Benavidez in the 12th round to retain the 147-pound title. It was a lot of animosity leading up to that. You know, obviously Benavidez said some insulting things about, you know, Crawford's wife. And, you know, Crawford paid a visit to the gym to, you know, see what's what. That's what he does. And especially in his hometown, he definitely gonna see what's up. So they came in there and it really got heated. You know, they threw a couple words at moms and wives and stuff, so you knew the fight was going to be crazy. So even at the weigh-in, Crawford went up, got right in his face. Benavidez pushed him, and Crawford threw one of the quickest right hooks I've ever seen. I thought he hit him, but when they showed the replay, my man dodged it just in time. Otherwise, it would have ended the fight. Wouldn't have been no fight. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, a lot of promoters were mad, but that's the animosity that was built up. So, you know, everybody's excited to see the fight, and for it to kind of, you know, they took the fight, you know, Bob Arum took their fight from HBO. Now it's on ESPN.
Right.
Everybody's kind of see what would the ratings be when it's not on HBO, you know, and it did well. So, you know, I think it finished #1 all time on ESPN as far as fighting for boxing matches on ESPN, and that's a hell of a debut. Like I said, he knocked him out. It was really a dominant fight. Crawford landed 32% of his punches compared to Benavidez, you know, only landed 18% of his. It was a thorough domination for 12 rounds. And, you know, normally when you dominate like that, a lot of fighters, you know, I call it prevent defense. Let me just survive and get the win. He ain't want no parts of that. He got him with a quick uppercut, knocked him down. And that was it. Had his mom celebrating all that. So, you know, it was a great fight. And he just pretty much, with him moving up, you know, to welterweight, a lot of the talk is, well, can he really bang with the Errol Spencers and Keith Thurmans and all the world? And he's showing he can, you know, and, you know, I mean, you could say he is the best fighter on the planet right now. Obviously, we waiting for that fight. We want to see that fight with Errol Spence, both undefeated. Everybody who loves boxing want to see that. hopefully the politics don't get in the middle and we end up seeing that fight so we can really see what's what. On the undercard was a fighter, a young fighter everybody needed to pay attention to. His name Shakur Stevenson out of New Jersey. He knocked out a veteran, Viral Simeon, who came in 21-2, who's known for taking champions the distance or whatever. Knocked him out. The kid's only 21 years old. Just won a silver medal in the 2016 Olympics. He's on his way. They trying to bring him along slowly. He's managed by Andre Ward, former pound-for-pound fighter. And, you know, Jay Prince, everybody might know him from, you know, Rap a Lot, Scarface, and all those guys. But he's also been a heavy, you know, promoter in the boxing game for decades. So he's about as talented as they come. I haven't seen the kid as talented, you know, in a while. The one thing is with him being so young, they want to know if he had knockout power, you know, if he can bang with adults. And going up against a veteran like that, he showed right away that he had no problem, even with being so young. He knocked him out in the first round, got him up out of there. And he was even more dominant than Crawford. He landed 51% of his punches, and Simeon only landed 13%. So not only is he delivering, he's dodging. So, you know, he's giving him the full shebang or whatnot. But, you know, Benavidez Jr., who lost to Crawford, he was a former prodigy. He came in undefeated himself, but he wasn't the same former fighter from years ago. I think in 2016, you know, he got shot in his knee and almost died from the blood loss or whatnot. So he's still trying to recuperate. The doctor said he wouldn't even walk again. So he's back fighting at a high level. He's still trying to get himself together, but you know, it is, you know, our mentality on the show is you step on the field, the court, in the ring, all day, there's no excuses. Right. If you're not ready, don't step in there. So he didn't make it, he dang sure wasn't thinking about that when he was saying what he was saying, you know, about Crawford's wife. So, you know, Crawford got him up out of there, and hopefully in, you know, the near future we see a Crawford, you know, Errol Spence fight, and they don't waste no time.
All right, so before we jump into the Wizards segment, again, NBA season starts tonight. Some of you, thank you for sharing your time watching the Celtics and Sixers. I think tonight we got with the Warriors and Thunder with no Westbrook. So
yeah, no, Roberson, he's still out 2 months too, I think.
I mean, look, it's a ring ceremony, all right? So DC United, it came down to the very end, but a late goal, 85th minute. Shout out to Russell Canals, talk about him all the time. He's one of those glue guys, the guys that never get mentioned, always overlooked, key cog in his machine, and it was fitting in a really scrappy game that the scrappiest guy on the field got the goal. It was a 1-0 win over FC Dallas. The win snapped a 6-game unbeaten streak for FC Dallas. They're doing their thing in the West. They've been very, very good in the West. But DC United, they've extended their unbeaten streak to 7 games. So for the moment, DC, we've been talking about how they've been going back and forth with Montreal. Montreal's had a 2-point lead. Well, Montreal didn't play this past week. So we said, according to the tables, DC United had a game in hand, meaning that they played less games than Montreal. So Montreal took the bye week. They still have played one more game with DC United at this point. That's points they technically can't make up because DC United still has another game Montreal cannot play. So as of right now, the playoffs started today. DC United is in the final spot in the Eastern Conference after being in the bottom at the bottom of the tables earlier this summer. Well, literally July, they were at the bottom of the East. This week, they got 2 really, really big matches. So for DC United, you know, we talk all the time, no excuses. As Cardell just said, they're literally in control of their own destiny. If they can continue this win streak, they don't have to worry about anything. You don't have to worry about help, anything at all. This week, we're going to find out what they're made of. They host Toronto FC. They have last year's reigning MVP, and they host NYCFC. They could come out this week with 6 more points. I mean, they're real, and it's pretty much stamped the playoffs for them. So the Wizards, preseason ended last week. We started tonight's show. Troy Brown Jr., the young pups, really showed out against the Long Lions. You know, we pretty much knew what that was. Not too many fans came out. You know, it was kind of a glorified open practice. So it's pretty much what that was last Friday. But it was good to see the youngsters. The Wizards really have good depth. They host Miami on Thursday. They got Toronto on Saturday. Then they head west for 5 games, which includes a visit to the reigning champion Golden State Warriors.
Start the season off with a bang.
So, literally, within 10 games, we're going to have kind of an idea to see what they're made of really early. All this talking, we've talked so much about it's time to stop talking, it's about doing. They got the work cut out for them to start the year, especially with Toronto on Saturday. Definitely looking forward to that. But Cardell, your thoughts going into this week?
I mean, it's not just this week I'm looking at keys for the season. You know, starting with leadership, consistent leadership throughout the season. I felt like last year, a lot of the times the leadership wasn't there, especially when it got rocky. things got tough, a slide, a lot of finger pointing. And then, you don't really see that with, championship caliber teams, man. For them to be that and they have the talent to get in that mix, I want to see the leadership. It starts with their backcourt, obviously, with John Wall, Brad Beal. I know Dwight, they got a lot of veterans, but we all know it starts with them. So they set the tone defense. Last year, pick and roll defense was horrible. We know
That's a
that.
nice word for it.
Dwight, obviously if he's healthy, we don't even know if he's going to play Thursday. Like even that stretch you talking about, I'm waiting to see if he plays so we really get a full gauge. But if he's there, obviously he would help. Rim protection. He can slide his feet, keep it with some guards, but it shouldn't be allowed to get to that point. Wall and Bill, I want to see those guys stay in front of their man, fight over their screens. Don't just be so easy to release the guard to get on the big, going out and create a mismatch. Same thing with the forwards. With Marquise step up, with Otto Porter battle more when guys try to post him up, because that's the scouting report. Bigger wings try to post him up and beat him down. Obviously tire him out so he can't do what he does, make threes and whatnot. And that's my thing. Can they play consistent defense? If they do that, I believe they can score enough. That's not even an issue. They have too much talent. Dwight, keep him healthy, his back. That's the key. To get out the East, you're going to deal with some monsters. Obviously Embiid. You're going to deal with Whiteside, who appears to be motivated, especially after getting benched during the playoffs. That's humbling when you got that type of contract, or just period, if you got any pride whatsoever. And I put Al Horford in that mix, man. They sleep on Al Horford, but Al Horford gets it done. So he definitely can do some damage if Dwight's not ready to play or whatnot. And I want to see him get off to a strong start. Strong start, try to get home court. Why not? Try to shoot for that, because I believe that would be pivotal in who comes out the East. If you gotta go to Boston, that's tough to win in 7. Obviously, it's gonna be tough to win in Philly. They're young. With that crowd, we saw that last year in the playoffs. Why not try to be in that mix to get the home court, have everybody come to DC? I think that can help them, have a kind of push to come out the East or whatnot. So those are the key things I'm looking at starting off in the season.
All right, Daryl Lee, and then Octavia with the Wizards this week, and even just with the season opening up, a couple of things you guys are looking forward to.
See what the bigs do, man. I think it's all contingent on what the bigs do. I haven't got a chance to see him in the preseason, but I will see him play the season, man. Just the bigs step up, and like I said, Dwight Howard, get to a level where he can play. I don't know. Me personally, I love him, but I think they kind of reached the ceiling. I think they was at their peak maybe 2 years ago, last year.
That was the peak. That's bad.
So I mean, I like them, man, but they gotta keep going. It's all contingent on the bigs for real. It's hard to play with 4 guards or long wings playing the 4 and the next level playing against Embiid and them guys. So
I agree with him on the leadership skills. I know the games that we went to last year was a couple of times where it was like you looking for Bradley and all them to step up and handle their squads, and they nowhere to be found, or they're doing too much instead of slowing the game down and really cultivating their team back together to get them to a victory. So that would be my biggest thing. But I can't speak too much on that because
Okay, I got a quick question for you.
How am I a Golden State fan?
No. I'm not even going down that rabbit hole. I don't know if we got enough time for that answer. What do you think about the talk, just real quick, the talk everybody, just wishing for this thing to end? People looking forward to almost everybody's previews are like, well, Clay's not taking a discount. Yes, you're the hero we need. What do you think about this? People just wanting this thing to come to an end?
For our reign?
Yeah.
Will never come to an end. No, I'm just kidding. When you do it, it's what do you expect? When you reign the champion, everybody's got something to say. It'd be nice to get to some games where it's going to be competitive. Like, for example, the us versus the Rockets that was it. That should have been us. I can't even admit that. We should have been out that season. That game series, but there was a little bit of coaching, a little bit of player stuff that shouldn't have happened, and they missed out. So, I'm all for going to a championship game where it's actually 7 games, tough, excitement. But it's hard to say. It's hard to say. I'm curious. Our preseason was terrible. I think we finished 1-5 last time I looked. something dumb, and I was just like, and then lost at the very final game against the Lakers, which is what everybody's looking for, anyways.
But you know they'll do that and then come out there they gonna 6.
Yeah, it's like this is a war. Look at my
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I said, when you're a reigning champion, everybody's gonna hate, but like I do totally agree that it'd be nice to see some real competitive game when it comes down to the stretch. And if we lose, we lose. Hey, we gotta fall at some point. Hopefully.
Octavia.
For both questions, as far as what I'm looking for the Wizards this year, I'm really looking to see how healthy they stay. Like, I feel like that hindered them a lot last year. I think that started a lot of the turmoil within the Wizards team as well when John went down, of him being, a leader on the team and that leader not being there. And of course, that's where all the rumors started, they were better without him, whatever. We know that's not true. So I'm really interested to see how healthy they stay because they had a lot of injuries last year with John. Brad has been injury prone over the years, of course, and now with adding Dwight to the mix, and of course he's been injury prone over the years as well. So I really think it comes down to how healthy they can stay and how well they can, finesse their core, with a lot of new parts as well, mixing it with older parts and people that have been getting better as time has progressed, like Kelly Oubre, Otto Porter. Is Otto Porter going to live up to this contract? Is he going to continue to go up? Are they going to, move further within being in the NFC East, especially with LeBron leaving? Although Tristan Thompson says it still goes through Cleveland, but we all know that's false. We all know that's false. But, I'm just interested to see how well they stay, together as a knit, as a core, as a team, and how well they're able to push through adversity. As far as the reign of the Warriors, the only way it's going to stop is if somebody stop them. Ain't nobody stepped up and did it yet. LeBron had his 1 year, then like Cardell had last week, had the brooms the year after that. It can't be too many more excuses at this point, and with them only getting better by adding Boogie, it's going to be tough for people to do it. So it's a lot of talk about people wanting to do it, but until they do it, I'm enjoying watching it. I'm enjoying watching how well they play as a team. A lot of times you look at different teams who play, they have like one really, really good player who may make another player on the team better as well. You have like a big two, a big three, or whatever you want to call it. They can legit have a big team. Like everybody on that team contributes, and their coach has them playing like that. So I enjoy watching it. It's great basketball to watch. So until somebody beat them, nobody can say anything.
Right into it.
I'm sorry?
You right into it?
Yeah, go ahead.
This weekend, we got the 2018 Jim Couch National Training Showcase up in NYC. I'm blessed to be a scout, DMV scout for them. For people that don't know in the area, they've had about 44 ESPN Top 100 ranked players since they started about 6 years ago, led by the Couch family. Jim Couch is a legendary coach up in New York. Was Kareem's first coach, taught him the skyhook, developed him, and it's been every top New York City player that came after that pretty much came under the tutelage of Jim Couch. Sean Couch, one of the best players to come out the Ivy League and Columbia and whatnot. So, they started their own training showcase to help players around the country, get better. One thing I like about it is they don't just roll the balls out and play. You actually have to put in work for a few hours and earn the right to play in those All-Star games. And you're dealing with players that are ranked nationally, the top players. So it's nothing given. But this for the DMV, representing the team, Virginia Academy. They play New York powerhouse Mount Vernon up there. For people that don't know, Mount Vernon is a school that produces, players like Ben Gordon and stuff like that. They play them Sunday at 11 a.m., I believe. They have their own Bryson Jr., Amir Nesbitt, Durashimi, who's a 6'9", got offers from Georgetown, Florida, amongst others. And then Javon John, who has offers from Virginia Tech, Hampton, and whatnot, high-flying power forward. So they have a talented roster. It's going to be a good game. And as for the upperclassmen, this would be the first year, they have Nesbitt, who I just spoke about. They have Jordan Harrison, who's playing at Flint Hill, 2020 point guard. Javon John, who I just spoke about. They have Dominic Carrington out of Baltimore, who plays for City, who won MVP of the Super 80 Showcase, and Christian Magruder, trying to get a little public school flavor in there from Largo High School or not. He's playing in as well. And then the freshman showcase, Noah Basher from St. Maria Goretti, 6'6" forward. He will be a problem if you've seen him play. I expect him to turn things out. So just follow me, and I have all that content, and it'll be highlights and everything on next week's show.
Yeah, so real easy. Like we tell you guys every week, get over to finestbag.com, mymountainsports.com, and definitely thank you to our guests this week. Get over to CTAB, hoops.org.
Yes.
CTABhoops.org. Again, finestbag.com, mymountainsports.com, CTABhoops.org. We'll catch you guys next week. It's going to be a busy week. We could literally start next week with we might just play interviews next week. Or just sit here and watch NBA games. That really might not be a bad idea. See y'all next week.